Hey, good morning. What is going on? On. Good morning, guys. Um, Topic today. Let me stick to what the live stream's about a little bit. It doesn't always got to be about me, but looks like I'm going full rogue nerd today. Nothing wrong with that. Um, all in all, I've been thinking a lot about, I get questioned now, especially with my health issues, the regret part. You should have, could have, would have thing about leaving the United States. And, you know, we did leave everything behind. Contrary to belief, a few bad trolls out there, and that's what they are, with misinformation informed the world that we were broke and miserable, and it was like our only savior was to come here and running from the law, which was really funny. But the that's not what it was. George was in a 10 plus year business that was successful. He was a year and a half, 2 years outside of a marriage. Um, and, we had family. He had family there. Um, Mine's there, dad, kids, everybody. I was settled. I had a car that wasn't even a year old. George had several cars. So we were okay. We weren't rich. We didn't have like a couple 100,000 in the bank, but comfortable. Me, not very much. I'll be honest. I already said that. I was on Social Security and income and had been on it for a little bit, had a little bit of money. But this is about us leaving and what we did leave behind because there was a lot. And medical is one of them. Has the Philippines become the new American dream? And I've been hearing people repeat this or for whoever else, especially in the last 6 months or the last 90 days. More now than ever, there is zero regret of what's going on with me. If I never see the table to do stints, this is where I am. I brought myself here. I'm 55 years old. That's where it was. That was my decision when I left. I'll tell you right now, that was in my mind, my responsibility to say, hey, can you deal with it? Well, of course, I'm dealing with it. Have been for a while. And it's been an eye-opening experience, and I hope the more I talk about it, it makes somebody say, hey, I'm going to hold on to my travel insurance as long as possible. I'm going to make sure I can be insured. I didn't call nobody and look for insurance before I left. I thought I'd be all self-pay and get on that airplane. And I was just rewatching our Philippine Journeys video when he got his stints. And he went more into detail. I was kind of hoping he would go more into detail about that and the billing and everything, because a lot of people said Heidi's scamming because she could be billed for this. She can get a promissory note. And it's not true. He said it then, and when somebody kept saying it on his live stream, he didn't back it up. But it is true. I'm not getting no promissory note. So medical, you have to pay up front for. And when it comes to heart issues, which more than likely most y'all skinny or fat are going to have some sort of issues. Guys are coming here with diabetes. People are coming here overweight, and it's like 90% of you's got at least one issue going on when you arrive here. Oh, I'll be okay. That was my thought, and I'm just going to deal with it. You know, there's a chance in America you might just die in your sleep. All of this I calculated over and over again in my head, and I'm like, no, I'm not staying in this country. It was our plan to go anyways, and it was during the pandemic. And we're like, yeah, let's go to Mexico and hang out for a while and wait for the country because they wouldn't even let George back in his own country. This was a total lockdown, shut down, shut everybody out. So we had basically sold everything, got prepped, and they were like, yeah, nobody's leaving the country or going into the country. You can leave, but we weren't technically supposed to enter Mexico. We drove in there. The only reason we got away was those badges we used to have all the time that said we were press. And, 5, 6 years ago, it must have been pretty impressive. And we had all of our camera equipment. They just let us in. And so we have proof of that. We show ourselves arriving at the border, and evidently we recorded everything inside the country after that. We drove in, packed one car, sold everything else, his motorcycle, all of this is real. We weren't busted. We went out every day for the last 60 days before we entered Mexico, and we went to hotels and concerts, and we did our thing. We did okay in America. Now, people are saying now, Heidi and George, you need to go back. You need to this. Well, now that we've been here 5, 6 years, you guys got to know that it would take a long time to redo George's paperwork to get him back in the country. And yes, he can. There's no legal issues against him. So, but the amount of money and the stress of immigration right now, I'm not willing to go through that. I'm here to stay. I'm here to stabilize my medical. And um, me and George spoke further last night, and we are in a few days going to Clark Medical Center, and we're going to get everything in writing: when, how much, everything. They said they'd put it in writing, and we have an appointment with their cardiologist and their billing and everything else. They said they'll put everything in writing. And I'm like, hello, we should have went there, but I've been getting treatment here in AUF and all of that. And so we're going to get all that because it's for us, whether we have to take a small loan, whether family members give us the money. People have been asking about sending the money. And it was said out there that I was refusing money. I said, no, I said that the money can be given directly to the hospital and that I was refusing stents. But nobody knows my condition. But for the basic, I'm telling you, in the test results I've shown, they're not going to do stents until I enter the hospital and stabilize. And that could take anywhere from a week to 3 weeks. It could take 2 months. We don't know. And then I'm going to let them say whether they can even do stents or not because my testing is not getting any better. So it may be just like I said, my heart doctor said cardiac bypass from the beginning. And I think he already knows that. They don't do stents on somebody as sick as me. Just where it is. It has nothing to do with being obese and fat and all that shit people keep saying. So we are going in a few days and I want it all in writing. And they will do it. So that way I can proceed, and they are the ones that are going to do it. Now, my heart doctor, he's not the one doing the procedure. So it's time to sit down with them. I was going to wait a little bit because we're sitting on top of 200,000 pesos, give or take. So it's nowhere even close to enough to, it's probably enough to get the angiogram, and they can't do the angiogram until I sit in the hospital for a few weeks. So it's like, oh, excuse. So anyways, based on medical, you never know where you're at. That's the point I was trying to get to and let you guys know an update. And that you don't have a chance to run to Guam sometimes. You don't have, like the Australian guy I mentioned. He does not, he didn't have the opportunity. And all this promissory note shit is bullshit. And to get a loan here for a starting amount anywhere between 35, 40,000 US, I'm looking at repaying probably double the money. I don't have that kind of money. I don't have 2, 3,000 a month to repay a loan like that. So I have to take it one day at a time. Every day I'm alive is a good day. So, but medical is the biggest thing that, I would say that I regret. I mean, I miss, some peace and quiet, which I got used to and everything. Oh, static again. God damn it. Static. Let's try taking George's mic apart. Maybe that's what it is. See if that helped. Can I get an update? Hey Geo, good morning, Geo. Did the disconnecting his mic? That's why I left it unconnected, being he won't be here on the lives all the time. Sound check. And this is a new soundboard. So, and the wires are new to the soundboard, but I think the main wire to his mic is not. So, Sound check, sound check. The last live was horrible. As soon as he connected his mic, it got bad. So maybe that's what it is. Can I get an update, Cindy? Yeah, it shouldn't be. I'm just checking to make sure he said that there's something else that could cause it to sound like that, but it shouldn't. Not now. Okay, does it sound like it's echoing like the 80s or something? Because it's on the normal setting. Okay. So, okay, thanks guys. I just want to, because it's driving me nuts to have that on there. All right, thanks guys. Uh no, and you know what? I'm like, what kind of monster would go on somebody else's live stream and mention I'm lying and scamming people for money when I'm actually dying? It just blows my mind. And then people say karma. We never once attacked somebody and said, hey, they're lying so much. Don't help them. Don't talk to them. Don't watch their channel. But these are. And it's going on, right? And it's like, why would you tell people that I can go get a promissory note and that I'm just sitting here and doing nothing, that I'm lying? I mean, you guys have no idea. It's like, I don't get it. And who actually follows them reminds me of just cult like behavior. It is the craziest thing that these people believe in their lies. And, I couldn't even stand to go back and watch the rest of Mike's Philippine journey when he let other people on there to talk about me, because God knows what he says. Because I got a bunch of emails saying that I got wiped out by him and Mike showed me up. And I'm like, Mike did his thing. But it's the troll stuff that was allowed that actually continued, and the troll himself to come on and say shit. And it was really stupid. And a lot of people have seen that. And it's like, why would you tell people such lies? And it's like, nobody did nothing to you. And so I told George, he's like, you don't have to do that. I said, well, we need it so we can figure out exactly down to the dime. Because when we were trying to say it was 30,000, it's definitely not enough, not for my condition. And then it was like, we're not going to touch you until you get stabilized. I'm never going to stabilize. I'm not going to sit at home and stabilize on basic medicines. I'm just getting by right now. My skin is falling apart. My hair's falling out, really bad. That's why my hair went from short, okay, like it was up to here, and then I had cut it again, and it's been cut again. So I can't. It was horrible. It was getting matted. It was dried out every time. I was brushing it 3 4 times a day, and it would just boom. So, anyways, yeah, I'm trying not to. People are, oh, you make it all about that, but I can if I want to. But good morning, Gio. Cindy waiting to see me. Good morning. Good morning. Um, and some of our main members got new photos this morning. And yes, somebody had mentioned something about my eyes. And yeah, I'm having a hard time seeing. I'm probably what I would call half blind, or in Arabic, they'd say shish pish in Egypt or something. I'm just going blind. Two of the medicines from the lupus is causing it. I'm on different heart meds, and it's just happening. I mean, like I said, there's all kinds of stuff, potassium imbalances, drying out, little to no blood going through my body. And so it's to be expected. But I didn't think it would get that bad. So I ended up wearing these to read and stuff. But, I believe Mike said it well also, and other vloggers, that everybody's getting old. Everybody's sick. Throwing that obese shit on me every 5 minutes, and that she did it to herself. It's happened since she was a young person. How the fuck do you know? How the fuck do you know that, it's all in an assumption? And, no matter how much you take care, coming from the same people that smoke a bunch of cigarettes, it's just weird how many people have all these other bad habits, but mine you can actually see. But yeah, definitely overall take care of the best you can, but just understand when you come here to Asia, it's no joke. It is no joke mentally, physically. Um, it is a big jump. A lot of people end up going back. Like they'll get married, stay here a couple years, and they're like, "Yeah, I can't retire. I have to go back." They'll deal with anything in the U.S. And I did overspeak when I said if people had money, why would they come here? And I meant that for like some of the average people because me and George was talking. I'm so grateful to be here, even if I don't see the inside of that stent, cath lab. Why? Because if I was back in America, George was working all day, 6 days a week. Sometimes I was going along with him, and I definitely wouldn't be now. And, you know, it was it was a rat race in America. The people during the pandemic had went from bad to worse. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good Americans, don't get me wrong, but it's really crazy now. And it was phones we had, several hundred US dollars, cable bill looking stupid. The amount of gas even back then, the insurance was hundreds and hundreds of dollars for all the vehicles. And it's just like, wow, here it is a fraction of the cost. There I had to worry financially, and we had a good amount of money in the bank. I mean, good amount is more than people normally have. And so beyond the 80%, 90% that has 10, 20,000 in there. So it wasn't like we were hurting, but Christ's sake, with all those bills, spending 5, 6,000 US, and now it'd be even more. That was 5 years ago. I don't have to worry about that. The only thing I worry about now is coming up with the extra money to do this surgery. But monthly, we were fine. Anything huge coming up, we could save and take a little bit out of the little bit of savings that we had, but hitting something like a 40, $60,000 bill. And then if I need open heart surgery, it's at least 100,000 US to 120. Last guy that had it that was from Angel City was close to 7 million. So pesos. So I don't have to worry about things here. If I want to order 10 pizzas, somebody's like, oh, she said she ordered 10 pizzas. Well, there you go, bitch. I'm going to order 10 more. If I want to order anything, or if I want to order, groceries to be delivered, or I'm out of batteries, or we want to get in a grab and go somewhere, we don't have to worry about these costs. But in America, that shit adds up quick. I can go to my basic doctors and get blood work and do these things where it would cost you hundreds of dollars each visit. Things are cheap for some things, expensive for others, but overall, we're talking half the cost to live here. So I don't stress over my electric bill. I don't stress over the most Filipinos can't. They don't even turn on their AC, which kind of freaks me out. It's kind of like, hey, I still tell the joke when we were looking at one of the public hospitals, and I was talking about going, and I was like, oh, well, that hospital don't look that bad. We'll just get the Phil Health, and it'll pay for part of it. They won't pay for all of it. And I was talking about public hospital because I started thinking about that Australian, and I was like, look, George, they've got the windows open. And George goes, no, there is no windows. I'm like, holy shit. I said, you mean there's no AC in that hospital? He said, yeah, no, there's no AC in there. I said, yeah, I'll pass. I'll just wait here every day and eat my pizza. And so, so there's just things to deal with, guys. People are nice. I was telling my daughter the other day, the biggest problem I have, and I've not been quiet about it, is that Filipinos tend to be passive, quiet, tampo, stomp off. You can't really confront them. They are not all, but I think that all the expats that have dated Filipinas and would know that even talking to your average Filipino, they're just so passive. They won't admit to something being wrong. They'll tell you, we're talking about like when you get directions, they'd rather tell you to go somewhere wrong than to say they don't know. very prided beyond a point. So I said it's like living in the 80s here. It's like a summer camp. It's like I'm living with teenagers, whether they're adults or not. A lot of them, I find, will not be forward, or it's always there's, it's like a teenager trying to get over on you on something. They'll just be super, super nice to be able just to get through something. And it's not such a bad thing. But when I look at things like, how they handle things, and it's like it's somewhere a balance. Like I think it's like a bunch of youngins running the country or something. There's a balance. You either can deal with it or not. And people are like, oh, I'm so offended. No, it is the truth. I was just watching that whole Senate thing, and they're like, oh, we're going to catch who did that. We're going to make them pay. And they're like all buffed up in front of the camera, like, them bitches ain't never going to go after them. They ain't never going to stand up. They don't stand. The only time they stand up is when somebody's woman cheats or they go off, and or they just get like really mad and they just break. That's when they do something. So it's either a super dramatic thing or not. So it's there's no in between on this one. So I'm like, yeah, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to hunt this person down. And then it turns out they don't even have the warrant in hand. I'm like, there it is. Like kids, they didn't even wait. They just made their own flair dramatics. And it's like the flair for the dramatics. Oh, what is your problem, stinky chinks? And yes, I call them stinky chinks. Right? Hi. You say hi? Here, say hi. Hey, look, look, look. We are Siamese, if you please. We are Siamese, if you're not. Yeah, I don't need my glasses clean. Look, look, it's Sarah out there. Look, Gio's out there. Why don't you go to sleep and leave me alone? Huh? You're gonna go to sleep. Oh, you little bitty bitty kitty bitty kitty. Why don't you go around, go find Mary? So and the reason I'm saying and talking about like, oh, there's Heidi dogging the Filipinos. No, it is hard because sometimes I don't get a straight answer, whether it's deliveries, whether it's at the doctor's office, the store's understaffed, or you'll see they got 50 people, and I'm like, who did this? Ah, okay. So it is. It's like you're leaving a household in charge with teenagers, and I challenge any expat that's been living here long term to say whether that's true or not. It just seems like it is all the above. So if you can't handle that and you need full organization and timing and scheduling, just forget about it. And you may have anything that you do will be a long runaround down to the doctors, down to like I've got one now at AUF. We're supposed to go in and look at a list and sign up for it and come back the next day to look to see when our appointment is. I'm like, you can't do that through Messenger, or you can't. It's just like crazy. It's like, why would, and I'm like, Filipinos deal with that? They'll literally go down there just, several times and get on a jeepney in this heat. No, I don't, some of the organization is really off. So can you handle that if you come to Asia? Everything seems to take a while, the banking, everything else. So, uh, hey, what's going on, Fallen Center? What is going on? And you know what? Let me mention, I put it in the scrolling down here. Thank you for all the support. After that live, there were several amounts to support the channel that came in. And I really do appreciate it. Support for the canal. I guess I did have that off. One second. I took the H out earlier. See, I can't, and I didn't have my glasses on earlier. Got a canal here. Wonder why it's not doing it. Well, let me take it out. It's weird. It won't let me do it during the live. Huh. It won't let me update that. So, okay. Who knows why it did it? Um, but no, thank you guys. The regular support, whether it is reaching out or, you know, the whole thing, it was very nice. Let's see. Sarah is in the house. Good morning. Good morning, girl. Good morning. Showtime. Yeah, I was thinking that was a shorter song again. Without putting these glasses on, everything's blurry. Oh, okay. Sounds like it's from the 80s. You didn't. Buttermilk Biscuits probably talking about the song. Yeah, I'm trying to. It was supposed to be like that song, Give Me a Break, that Nell Carter show. Give me a break. It was meant to be similar to it, and I wanted to get that theme going and everything. So I requested certain sounds, and we go through and do certain tempos. And now with the AI software, you could do just about anything. When we started doing this music a few years ago, you could let it auto create, but you could tell it was auto created. Like it was usually the same lyrics, the same type of lyrics. And now you're able to create using specific instruments, and there's an extra, there's an extra lab for it. Like you can go into another studio. And so we've been doing that, and we'd rather use our music than someone down the road try to hit us with, hey, that was my song. They even do that through the YouTube thing. So even if you give them credit, they've been known to come back. Like if they're making good money or something changes, they hit the people that have it, and you have to take it down. And static, static. Good morning to you, Heidi. Nice hat too. How you doing? In your New York accent, doing good, cuckoo. Yeah, it's a real lie. No, the guy that Mike let on there, knowing he was a troll, him and a bunch of others came through. Like most of the comments were the same guy creating an account, and a blind person could see that. But if they're already in there trolling or with hate, they're not even going to look that stuff up. But the comments come from the same person because they're all within the same time frame. But basically, they were just spewing shit. Oh, she's lying. She won't go. She can get a promissory note. She's ripping people off. And I said, yeah, this is a scam. And honestly, it's not stopping the support. And that's another thing. The medical coordinator will give me more things that if people want to give it directly to the hospital, they can. The money doesn't even have to come through us. Does it help when I go to get extra medicines or the other appointments, or like when I bought this new my new breathing machine? Well, yes, of course it does. But the biggest part of it's got to go directly there. Then they can send it there. So some people have asked, and it's not that we were denying. We said, yes, get a hold of the hospital and they'll do it. Um, that it's just crazy. It's crazy. But the promissory note's bullshit. George said that if we went in there and just did the releasing the water and bringing the inflammation down, and there was no items needed, no, I don't need my hip replaced and need equipment, and pesos, 200,000, 300,000 pesos, who knows? But he said there just will be a point where they just won't do it. So, and they don't do it for everybody. And it's not because I have a pension that's the reason they'll give it to me. And George said they're going to want that collateral. So if these other hospitals are doing that, then I think that one person was living out in the province, and maybe that was up to them to do it. Thanks, Jim. Hey, good morning. What is going on? How are you doing? Vet's vlog is in the house. Kevin, what is going on? Be sure to check him out on YouTube, and we watch him on TikTok, and he's got some powerful stuff. He really does. Due to the YouTube for us, definitely at this time, I don't want to be demonetized because it's a sensitive subject. But he goes into the full military thing, and then he shows what's going on in his life, and I'm really proud of him. He's come a long way, and the things that he's done, and he's a strong guy, and so let's see. I hope we're beyond that. Check the case. I think it was George's. Something happens when something's going on, and hey, what's going on? Slick Rick is in the house, and Kevin said, don't forget to like Scott and Iziza or Mrs. A is in the house. I do too. I'm realistic though. I mean, I'm pretty blunt sometimes by saying this money will probably go to, because I see endings really way before beginnings. It's just I'm left-handed, left-brained. I'm all the above left, and it's like I know the end result and I know my body. It's deteriorating by the day, and it's like, and he said the longer I wait to do anything, it's bad. And he's told me the last two times to go in the hospital, and this is during the last 90 days. So it's like I can only do what I can do right now, and I just can't. If I'm not going to get locked down there, I'm not going to go in there and be stuck there and die in there, and then leave George with some astronomical bill that he'll never pay off. It just I just can't see any of it, and people are like, oh yeah, but he should deal with that, and he should know this is on me. I am still responsible for me. But all in all, us leaving the U.S., I got to the point where we went to Mexico. We arrived here. We were the ones that spent. We had to pay the separate room. It was literally within a week that people were allowed to stay in the same room. And if people had kids, they made either the mother or the father take them. I don't even think they were both allowed to split them up. Like they all had to be with one parent. There were some weird rules. The airports were empty. Singapore airport was empty. New York was empty. LAX was totally empty, and we had this all on camera. But we came in, we did that. We stayed restrained inside of the house. We had a gigantic house near Walking Street, and it had like four bedrooms. We showed a bunch of that when we first got here. And then we went off looking for apartments, and George found the apartment. And so it just went from there. And then we're talking $200 rent versus 2,000 rent that he was paying for his place. And so it was a difference. And then I had my own apartment. Before I left, we were both in our own separate places. Uh, it's a big difference in cost living here. And then, even if it is like summer camp, it is a fun summer camp because most of the time you're in good, Filipinos are in good spirits. You know what I mean? Regardless of the actions on the side and how they joke a lot. And it is for me the best situation. And I told George again yesterday, I was like, no, I am so grateful. Matter of fact, I feel that I'm 100% happier now than I've ever been and ever would be there. I'm like, well, what would be happening there? I said, yeah, there wouldn't be a whole lot with those type of co-pays and everything. No. And to be without George and to be caught in those high costs while I'm recovering from something like this, I just can't see sitting there. I just can't. There would be no way to comfortably recover financially, like going to the hospital and doing all the co-pays and all the updated appointments, the cabs to go to them and everything. So I am in the best spot. I believe this was destiny and stuff. You have to understand when things are destiny or not. People are like, oh yeah, but her life's falling. I'm 55 years old. If I don't see those stints, then I don't see those stints. What if I was back out in the Ozarks or some of the other places I lived in? There's a good chance I wouldn't be getting it there either. So it's just it's a hit and miss on things. Life's a strange mistress. All right, static gone, Ronald. Hey, what is going on, Ronald? What is going on? Hey, hey, hey. Praying for your full recovery. Doctors told me I would never walk, talk, and I know my name. Have faith. Don't let. You know what? We have dealt with some serious troll stuff. Any channel with a couple thousand, or even before we had that started. My problem is they don't. One, they don't have the balls. They're just keyboard warriors. A lot of these guys are just doing it for looks. Then others become obsessed. I'm okay with that. Where recently it got under my skin is when you tell people stuff like that's not true. They've been saying a lot of crazy stuff about George, and that doesn't affect our life. But when you tell people that I'm lying, when you tell people that I'm a scam artist and that this is all just to get extra money, I mean, for what? what the fuck am I going to do with close to 4,000 right now that I've been holding on to? Because the money has slowed down substantially. You don't see us. I'm not going on no vacation. You're not going to see us getting fancy rims on the car and ordering out every day, expensive food. We're not sitting here eating steak. It's not like that. But when you tell people that I just don't want to, and that this is just outright a ploy again to get money, and it's just not one person. It's being spread on multiple channels. A promissory note thing. That was really a trip. I'm like, wow. How, and that's another channel saying that on somebody's channel. And, you know, it is, that's what bothers me. But on my everyday living, you ain't getting to me. You can call me fat all you want, talk about my sex life, talk about my obesity, bring everything to light, let the trolls rip me up as most channels do, and try to put it out there because I deserve it because the way I've talked about people and I'm nasty to George. No, that you guys, this is YouTube. We never once ripped into people even close to the way they have before this happened. People have been turning paperwork through Social Security. They've gone after me. You guys, I mean, I've told you guys all this. They go that far for what purpose? None, because they're obsessed. And it's just like, it's a stalking beyond, you know, it's a stalking beyond weirdness. But that's what bothers me. And if you get a bone, and I'm sure they're watching, at least two or three of them are watching right now. Get your rocks off all you want, but you're a liar. They're lying. So I know they're watching and I'm addressing you. You're lying. They do not do promissory notes. I am not scamming. Okay. And everything you're saying is incorrect. And I don't know why people would go on with lies, but then again, they lie about other things too. So, but overall, who wouldn't it bother if it's actually mentioned? I mentioned this, so then I am scamming. Why would I go through all this and say it upsets me that somebody would say this to stop my financing? Who's that fucking bold to go in and say, oh, you're stopping my funds by telling them that? No, I don't think so. There's only a few people like that, but no, the fact you people would say that and say that it's all a scam and the funds, it just, that's what bothers me. I know I'm not getting the money before I die. I had less than a year 3 months ago, and it still is on a day to day basis. This is not cancer. I'm not going to recover. My mom was told she had a few months. She lived 5 years. If I live 5 years, it's from me cutting out on some stuff. It's from me salt and water because too much salt in that will actually harm me. So I've already started that months ago. This is going to be from me taking my medicine, and this is going to be from me just not overdoing it. You know, I can't go out and exercise. I can't overdo things. So if I do live a year or two, which I doubt it's that, then it is what it is. I know what's actually going on. But to actually try to stop that based on your hate and stupidity, yeah, you can't wake stupid people up. And they're going to make up stuff. They think because they put a few truths in there, it's like, well, I can prove this. Well, then it's like, whoop dee. It's like it doesn't pertain to what's going on. And our channel never once. And I challenged someone the other day. They were like, yeah, you ripped into Mark and you've been doing it to every channel. No, we haven't. We never want somebody tried to say it was dealing with Carrie and stuff. They're like, oh, yeah, she's not going to help you or you're not going to get any money because you did that to her. And I'm like, we never said don't give or this is going on or that's going on. Which, by the way, there's a whole thing for these people. They're now fascinated with the P and her now that we talk about them. And so let me get you going again. It looks like she's having something out with another girl that does exactly what she does. So she had some sort of partner that continues to copy her work or did. Now she's got another girl that's doing it, and it looks like they're using the same people. But yet now they're going against each other. Something about a product line, something about, so it's like, it just gets crazier. It's like, it was just exhausting. Me mentioning that does not stop her money. She's good at what she does. She helps people. The other girl helps. Let them do their thing. But I wouldn't go in and say, you know what, based on this and that, based on Immigration Act and blah, 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 she really doesn't need to be doing that. And she really doesn't need the money. No, never once. Same with any of the expats. If we talked about Peachback Mountain and if we talked about this, nobody stopped their financing. Nobody went in and tried to kick them in the teeth. And first thing, she's obese and caused her own health issues. It's like, sit and spin, bitches. It's like, I'm old, I'm chunky. Okay, you got me. But if your ass was out there dicking everybody, drinking beer and smoking, which that's most guys, then what? If something happened and their dick fell off, it's kind of like, oh, let me get some money to him. Let me get it sewed back on. That kind of shit. It's weird. Oh, so and so ran out of eggs on her channel as a Filipina. She needs more to put in a pan so she can dance around in her bikini. Let me get her $50 for eggs because that's what she told me. Okay, good for you. But don't go telling misinformation you don't know shit about. But they're going to continue because, see, they'll see that I'm peeved or that I'm mentioning it, but they're just giving me content too. I have the right to say it. And they have the right to say it too, I guess. You just look really stupid saying it. I know you are. And my people or anybody with a brain wouldn't be following you anyways. If they're there at those channels listening and joining in, they'll understand that those are troll comments from new accounts and the others are just like-minded and they weren't even going to begin to understand me. They hated me from Jump Street. I'm not sucking their dick and gonna have George get in a bikini, or we're gonna sit there and be, oh, how you doing? Here's my best friend George, and let me rub your feet, and let me bring George some tea and all that shit. I mean, I don't know what they thought they were gonna see on this channel. Let me coddle you a little bit, little baby. No, what it is, you can't control me. I wouldn't be that bitch, especially the one that was on our Philippine journey. I'm not that bitch. You ain't putting your hands on me. You ain't going to do this. You ain't going to do that. And you just all talk. So now you've been mad for a couple years and you would come back and scream some more lies. No, people, that's about really butt hurt. Very expensive in America as all prices keep increasing. $4.19 a gallon. And you know what? It's not far from it. They're now what, 80, almost 80 days, 81 days in. They're saying that gas could go as high as $10 by the first of next year. Good luck, guys. The government has no intention to stop, and it's going to affect the rest of the world too. I mean, everything was said when every tech person and all the important billionaires got off the plane in China with them. There was no purpose in that, none at all, except for to make money, backed by these guys and the underground government. Period. So your gas is going to hit that. They don't care what happens to you. The elite, rich, and billionaires will survive this, and they don't care about the little people. So it's just where it is. You'll just keep paying their bills because you either will or you won't. So it's insane. I never thought I would have to even say stuff like that, but it's obvious. It's like directly in front of everybody's face, and gas is going to hit $10 a gallon. I have 4 to 8 people every day tell me that I should have and you should have died in Afghanistan. Yeah, and I should not have ever gone over there. They're going to say that. They say, I hope you don't let it disturb your peace. And when they say that, it probably gets to you because I feel when people say don't let the trolls get to you, it's almost indicating that I have. And it's because I talk about it doesn't mean they have. I like to inform them that they're dumbasses. And I like to take that stand kind of like you. So it does and doesn't at the same time, but it doesn't break our peace, does it? No, it doesn't. And, when I would say a couple years ago, there was a couple things going on. I took it more personal because the people that were messing with me were people we knew. And then we found, like, we traced their stuff and everything. We found that some of them were vloggers. And it's like, wow, it's just sad. It's extremely sad. So that's the part I was really at. And then you can't fight stupid. So then that kind of sends you in a different situation. But when you hear that, you know, it's kind of like when you get those false things, like when I talked about when Mark Thornton passed away. Most people didn't know him, and then they went in like they did know him. And I did say some shit. That doesn't mean that it made me a bad person. It was being truthful. Like when people bring, like George said, they bring food at funerals and they don't even know who you are. And I get they're trying to ease something, but some of them will just jump on the bandwagon, and they're not being truthful. They're not even. They don't have, a person that's saying the things they've been saying about me wasn't sympathetic to begin with. Oh, they'll tell themselves they're good people. They'll go in and they're patting themselves on the back. Well, I'm a good grandfather, and I'm not saying that shit. You're not, because you don't know me. And you should separate that this is a YouTube channel, and we said that this is a all in all channel that talks about what's going on, what other expats are going through. It's an opinion on what they're going through, but we don't target and destroy people. Never have. We don't repeat months in a row of the same stuff on the same person like they do us. It just means, yep, Scott's there, Army vet. Yeah. I don't care if it's true or not. I go where the flow and I live with the Filipino. Yeah. Hey, Harry's in the house. What's going on? Good morning, Bookham and Panay. Harry Walsh, good morning. Fan Annex. Let's see how if I put that. It took me about 2 months to get over nothing happens fast in the Philippines. Oh, God. Yeah. Like even the bank, it's you just don't walk up like you do in America, and you literally stand there and the transaction's done. And somebody remind me, in America, if you have a bank account and you're paying monthly fees and you have X amount in the bank and you satisfy the bank, they charge you a fee for going to a teller. Because George just went to the second bank to withdraw for medications, and they literally charged him a $3 fee, and we pay a monthly fee, and we also meet the other side of their qualifications. I said, they charged you at the window? And he said, yeah. And I said, oh shit, no. I said, why? I said, I know in America, if you don't have an account and you're cashing a check, you're like at Bank of America because it's their check and it's a paycheck. Okay, I could see them taking fees out. I could see them take, but when you have an account, that's crazy. But I could be wrong. We banked at the same place, but I don't remember those fees hitting. Is that something new? It's a happy thing for the most part, but it's funny how they show all the display of being a kid. I do. Shit, I talk off the top of my hat. I cuss. You see me acting crazy, and but I still got a form of responsibility, and I'm gonna tell you if I don't like you. If you're ugly, I'm gonna tell you that. If you stink, I'm gonna tell you that. And I'm like a straight shooter, but I can't get straight shooters here. I can't get it out of George. I can't. He would just go silent rather than say there's something going on. We've discussed that there's been things that have been wrong, like in our household sometimes, and he just won't say anything. He's like, well, I thought you seen it. I'm like, George, it's like a kid. I said, why don't you tell me? Like, if we were springing water outside in the garden hose, if he's not fixing it, which usually that's what he does, he'll just, would leave it situation. And I'm like, that's like a passive teenager. And it's like, it's my parents' responsibility. But it's more of they're just on permanent vacation. But when you piss them off, they have temperaments, and there's nothing to stop them. You'll just see them chasing the wife through the street things, and it's like, okay, what'd she do? But I don't know. It's different here, but for the most part, I find it to be peaceful. It's just peaceful. But they are like teenagers. That's why I say that about George. That's what it seems like. And they'll never admit fault. I've yet to where I would just die if George says it was my fault. I did it. I'm the one that caused this, and that. No, forget about it. I've even talked about therapy over like when his dad passed away, our marriage issues, because what marriage doesn't go through it. And going, nope, absolutely not. And it's like, yeah, because and these Filipinos know they don't want to be confronted and told it just won't. I'm telling you right now, that's exactly what they would say. And I said, I know what I've done. I've told you what I've done. And now I look them in the eye. It's me. And they're like, okay, okay, Heidi, okay, George. And that'd be it. He just totally shut down during the therapy. And that's exactly, so it's and by the way, mentioning something like that, he will be butt hurt and he may not even talk to me. He just, when he wakes up and watches this, all of a sudden he'll get silent. He'll go from kissy kissy to this and that. And then he just won't talk to me for the rest of the day. And I'll be like, well, what did I say? And I have to think about every action. Did I hand him his breakfast and did I give him a nasty look? And that's why I have to guess why he's mad throughout the day. So it's like eggshells, and it's like he says he's being nagged, and it's like it's not nagging. I'm actually having to talk to you about stuff. It just seems like nagging because you're a teenager. So it's what I'm experiencing. So maybe your experience isn't the same, but the complainers, the experts, I've never heard a Filipina or Filipino complain about their status. The most complainers are expats. That's all you hear. Yeah, because Filipinos are passive. You're not going to hear them complain. Way to go. Way to go that your whole life is falling apart and you can't ask for help. Way to go that you're so passive you don't communicate with your spouses. It's bad. There's not one marriage or one civilization that lasts when somebody shuts down the way a Filipino does. So, no, you're right. You have the wrong label. I feel they're passive. So you're not going to hear them. No matter good, bad, their situation, they're survivalists. They talked about that about the typhoons and stuff. They even say that, when we talk about their strong and their survival and all of this, no, it's an instinct. Their instinct is to shut down and not be complainers. They are grateful for things that are going on, but the passiveness, just saying this will trigger the Filipinos right now. I'm sorry, it's the way it is. So they're either over the top or totally not talking at all. It's been talked about over and over and over again. Expats are going to say what's on their mind because we have a level of expectation. We have a level of wanting something. There's nothing wrong with that either. First thing, go home if you don't like it. If you this, and that, and you don't like this, go home. You don't like that we throw trash on the ground, go home. Okay, well, that's your deal. But don't expect me to accept when you charge me $10 for 3 pieces of small meat that are dried out and I say something to you. Not looking for a refund. Don't freak out because I had an expectation and it's done nicely. You, as a Filipino at the restaurant, would rather me not say nothing to you at all and just eat the shit. Okay, you're right. I've been here 5 years. I just won't come back to your restaurant. That's where it's gotten, where I would have bitched out loud about it before. So I'm sorry. It is the truth. That's my truth. That is the truth. Now, whether you guys deal with it like that, that's different. But I know I'm hitting people in sore spots right now. It's exactly the truth. I'm in pain all day long, very bad pain. And right now, I don't care if people don't like my truth. I don't like it. I'm not going to coddle anymore. Not even close. I used to hold back because George used to sit here staring at me. Fuck that shit. Fuck that. Every moment that I'm even when I'm asleep, it's painful. I don't care. It's the truth. Yeah, expats are. So, hey, what's going on, Black Grandpa? Good morning. Thank you. And I'm actually saying what people are thinking. All the others on their channel that are like, oh, I love the Philippines and I'm this and I'm that and everything's this and that. Yeah, they don't want people to look at them or have a different opinion. I just say what's on people's minds. And if it's not, then that's not for you. Then fine. You guys can, however you think. Nobody's trying to control your thinking. But I do say, that's just the one reason that our channel has grown, because I didn't think we would even hit 26,000. It was never meant to actually go like this. Thank you so much for the kind words. I hope to make a difference. I love your channel. and you have been my inspiration. You've been great. I love all it is. And I often wondered about that. It's like I think about that. People who tell false information need their brain examined. Some of them just need that truth, they need that truth for themselves by telling these lies. I was talking about that the other day. The They know that telling lies and making us look way worse, it just makes them look good because their life's pathetic. Specifically the 2 3 channels that have just gone on and on and on, and it's like, if anybody even has a rational mind, they know that's not what's going on. So I had bad planning, so I don't have money. It's just a weird balance. Where is that taking on for you that you're actually going to go through and tell lies on top of it and even begin to stop that? Who put them in charge? We all got bullied when we were growing up. Get over it. Okay, whatever that is. Yeah, not everybody. You got bullied? You ever wonder if I was the bully? Not everybody got bullied. You had the bullied and the ones that just like, I ain't got fucking time for you. And that's pretty much me. You ain't putting your hands on me. You ain't starting shit with me. I ain't got time for shit even as a kid. I was too wound up and busy to deal with that because not everybody does. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, I don't know. Hey, Tio Chong, good morning. Hey, Ty, 4.99 in Texas. Insane. Magadano Maga, what is going on? Yeah, I don't know. Wild PH left a comment. I don't understand the comment, and the internet's cutting out, guys. I must have missed. I have modeled my pets, so I know how the stuff works. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I don't know. Wild. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out what Wild PH is going on about. It's a lot of in between stuff. January, recent today, baby May, but we'll be showing investigation, family on the phones doing chat, we'll be producing YouTube. So I don't know. Um, Now, since I'm 62, I have fee free checking. Yeah, that just doesn't sound right because the account has several thousand US in it, and they take a fee out because it's one of those accounts you do have to have like a lot in it. But it's like we know they were taking their fees, and then there's enough money in there, and I'm like, they charge you $3 to withdraw money because you didn't do it at an ATM, and I'm like, that's insane. They charged you for being at the desk. He had to get something else while he was in there, and the ATM and the pin weren't working outside. So they charged him for withdrawing inside versus that. And he said, my ATM card's not working. They still charged his ass. That's that. I forgot to tell you the whole story. So the pin was right, it just wasn't working. So the reissuing of the card, I could see them charging money for, but then he made a withdrawal afterwards. He didn't use the card, and they charged him because he did it all in one thing. I was like, what the heck? Slick Rick. She lied about when the video was shot. I have not seen any baby needing milk. Okay, so you're talking about the channel. Some of the channels were lying. Yeah, welcome to that. Now they are outright like whatever's going on with there's a whole thing going back and forth, like I said, with the ones trying to save the expats. And there's two of them right now battling it out, and it seems to be the same people. And I'm like, I ain't even got the strength. I was going to look into it so I could talk about it because it seems to be the same guys. So I think some of them, they're both helping. And I'm like, so they're doubling down. And it's like, I guess there's nothing wrong with that. But when they're both collecting, when they're both possibly unregistered, it's been unverified and all that, and all these other things, it's just like, yeah, and I definitely ain't got time for all that. It might be some nice dramatics and a change from my health, but it's just like, because a lot of these expats did get themselves, like me, into a financial issue, but it wasn't due to giving all my money away. It wasn't due to drinking, cheating, buying houses and giving them to the family, building on land. Does it change anything? No. But it happens. Shit happens when you get to the Philippines. Yep. Misery loves company. Yeah. Yeah, YouTube is going to suppress Wild PH. You can't come in saying certain things are being held. Your stuff is being held for sure. So, hey, good morning, Philippines. In the Philippines, if you use a different branch, nope, there's only one. It's Metro. It's where he opened the account, and the ATM, the pin. It's been acting up, so I don't know if the strip was bad or whatever. He went in. They were to replace it, but he did the withdrawal, and he goes, "No, they charge every time you go to the window to withdraw." And I said, "Yeah, but we have an account." He goes, "Yep, they still do it." And I'm like, "Oh, hell no." So, I mean, $3 isn't going to break the bank. I'm just a little disappointed that they would do that. So they really, I guess, want everything to be through an ATM. Good morning. There's Heidi in the Philippines. Hey, good morning. What is going on? Hey, good evening from Columbus, Indiana. Good morning. Right. Okay, I'll buy. Heidi, you're more beautiful than a Filipino summer sunset. Oh, that's nice to. That's very nice of you. I'm sure that's what it is. But I appreciate it. Hello, brother Tio. Good to see you. Everybody going back and forth. Again, Wow PH, I appreciate you leaving the comments. They just don't make any sense and definitely don't pertain. I've modeled my pets, etc. I'm assuming you're talking about Baby May and the things that are going on. Yeah, I mean, I joined Heidi's channel from first time brother months back. Right on, Heidi. Expats have expectations for things to get better. Yeah, and we're dogged for it. Our expectations are too high. The Americans are too loud and too opinionated, and they want too much. And you know, oh, they're not taking care of their men in America. So when they get here, I'm going to cook them spaghetti and hot dogs, and I'm going to sex them to death, and that makes me better. And that is what most of the channels are showing. And it's like, I just seen one that just threw herself under the bus. She showed herself as an Asian wife. It showed her at 8 a.m. and it shows her being bumped up and down like she's having sex. Then it shows her cooking. Then it shows her on the table being bumped up and down. And it's like all day she showed herself was cooking and having sex with. When it comes to that, I'm sorry if that's what bugged me the most about George, Cindy, in the beginning is he was always, if the food was given to us at a restaurant, and like we said, let's say it was $100 worth of food, and it's because we were at a nice restaurant. It wasn't like it was a ton of food. The food comes cold, or there was something in it that was way off, or there was no ice in the drink. George's like, "Oh, that's okay." And I'm like, George, it's not okay because he's so passive. If somebody cuts him off in traffic, now he gets a little angrier now. Something's happened since he's been here. He's flipped the switch. But back then it had been like, oh, don't worry about it. Everything seemed like he was doing that to piss me off. If it was really hot, he would go on about, no, it's not hot today. It's just you. And I'm like, you ain't gaslighting me today, bitch. It's just the way it was. And there's a limit because why? Because I don't want to spend an hour at the bank and that they're slow and you're not supposed to question, or the same with why there's no employees or 50 employees somewhere. It's just, and because we say something, then, we're just a expat that doesn't know anything, or just see what's going on with this stupid dog. By the way, the dog, the dog is like off the chain too. He tried to get in the house this morning, and he comes in, don't get me wrong, and everything. And I turn around and there he was sitting in the kitchen. I said, "How long have you been sitting here?" I'm like, "What's wrong with that dog?" Yeah, see, I don't see anything going on. He's been barking. It's hard saying. I thought maybe it was delivery. Okay, so just look at all these other Asian countries and how they have gone. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, especially places like Vietnam. And then George will give me the look, and I'm like, well, the Philippines has had a long time to rebuild too. I just feel they're like kids. They're too busy trying to get wealthier and too busy, within their own system doing each other in, or the chismissing, or the going against each other, or the crab mentality is unreal here. So it's, again, we're not immune from it in America, and most countries aren't. But I notice it heavy here. So you can't be, I don't give a shit on one hand and then want something on the other hand. So I'm making the same choice. I will have a heart attack, and even if the hospital is unlikely to save me, hereditary, so 50-50. So either spend all your money or just live with what happens. Well, and that's where I'm at. It's, the inevitable is happening to me anyways. I'm not, people keep saying it's bullshit because I haven't entered the hospital yet. I'm not going in and ending up with a 40,000 US dollar bill, even if there's a promissory note. I told George, I said, they really think that, but let's say there is. How am I going to repay 40,000 anytime soon? It's just, I'm like, no, they're going to come after us hard. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. And then I'm liable to pass away anyway. So then what? Leave George with the debt while he's living with his family that he has to pay it? I'm sorry. I'm at a point that if I live day to day, that's where I'm at. It's not because I won't. It's just financially I can't, and I'm not going to get held or be in trouble for it or anything else. Hey, what's going on? Mike and Venus is in the house. Hi, sweeties. Good morning. Sending peace and love. No, she's got somebody else, and she's actually mentioned her recently on Facebook. And I forgot what her name is. She braids her hair up. Her hair's blonde half the time. She does exactly. As a matter of fact, it's almost a competition. She's done this. I spent all day at immigration, and I help expats. But something's going on between them, both these vloggers, both Filipinas, because some appear to be the same people. I mean, exact same people. And the other part of it is I guess she got to know her and she's pumping her products, and the other one's dogging her. There's a defamation. They're doing something back and forth. They're after each other. At least it appears that way. Maybe I'm misunderstanding something, but she's mentioning the other channel, and that's who's the, so she did take on a sponsorship. She says, "Oh, I would never sell out," and blah, and she is. She's actually touting this other person's products, and they're not even technically her products. I think it's like Avon, and she's just helping her with them. But whatever, because she said all the money is going to the people, and it's just like, who knows? But if I put two and two together, they're the same people. So they're just spinning the same people through, and they're both requesting money. And so maybe, if it's helping them get out, then it actually is. So who knows? I don't know who's louder. George says the chicken, the rooster out here is not loud. He says that's not a full size rooster. I said, I don't know. He seems to be. Yeah, I don't know. He's just barking. Oh, he's barking. There's there's some dogs out here. So, and people standing out here. Willie got out the door George was cleaning up. We had a storm a few days ago, and he was picking up, like, it seemed like everybody dumped their trash in the yard, but I guess it just got blown away. Willie got out, and we have like that drain ditch, I guess, where the stuff goes down in the water and everything. I said, "Do you know where your dog is, George?" He goes, "He's out there somewhere." I said, "Do you know exactly where he is?" He said, "No." And I said, "He's in the drain ditch digging at stuff." And you could see Willie, his head popping up and him jumping up and running. And it's like a long ditch, and I could just see him popping up and back down. It was just like Pop Goes the Weasel. And I said, "George, get him out of there." And he ran over and got him out. But I was like, it's disgusting because people throw their food in there. Animals get stuck in there and die. It's a poop, urine, and trash drain. And I'm like, get him out of there. I was like, ah. My monthly fee is $5, but no charges if I upload. Yeah, they used to do that like with the checks and stuff. I just found it to be odd. He says, "Yeah, every transaction at the window, they're charging people." I said, "But you have an account." He says, "Yeah, they still do." I said, "So what about the free people that are just going in and cashing a check?" I guess they hit them too. Yeah, I don't know who Andrea is. Wild. Survival mode is making do. Family on the phones is a production line. She also wanted another phone saying it was broken. No, some of it's just outright. But see, here's the thing. You are calling these people out, but others don't. They find it to be perfectly okay. And it's evident they're doing this stuff and on multiple channels or just as a person on Facebook. But I call it still survival. But it gets a little crazier when it's the same items. It's not because she's selling them. It could be you're just like filling in her needs. She's giving a phone to the next person or but I get it too. And they got better at that during the pandemic. A lot of people in the countries got better. Hell, they got good at it in America. Not in the Philippines, you're abroad. Mike saying hello to everybody. Yesterday I learned about the ice cream industry in the Philippines. From California Expat, good channel. Carabao ice cream sounds interesting. Yeah, actually, I love Carabao milk. I first time I had it, they had it at the mall. Like there was a booth, like they had fruits, vegetables, and they had the milk. And man, that's the best. I've had like goat milk and fresh cow's milk, but the Carabao is off the chain. It is really, really good. And they make a candy called pastillas and they make it out of the milk, but they tend to make it out of like canned milk, like condensed milk, but they can make it with Carabao. They can make their own condensed milk. Those are even better. It's a milk candy. And yeah, well, also a warning, Bings, you mentioned that is the ice industry. They check booths throughout Metro Manila, and like 90% of them, they were contaminated. These people are making their own ice instead of buying it, and they're floating large pieces. They're just filling them up. They're not using filtered water. And you got to be careful because the companies doing the water filtration, we said this in the beginning, that they're not changing the filters every 2 months or 3 months. Like I don't know what it is, but it's usually about that. They were changing them once a year. So people end up with the stomach bug or so the ice, most of it's contaminated. So watch getting those drinks on the street. That's the problem. I would go drop in a 7-Eleven. If you guys have a weak stomach and your woman's trying to hand you off an ice drink, I just wouldn't. A lot of these guys are like, I don't know what I did. I didn't eat nothing today. Yeah, but we watched you drink all those drinks on, while you're going through Manila. Yeah, I just wouldn't do it. So we have an actual system that we've actually bought, and the filters are $20 every few months. And so we used to order the jugs initially till we found out none of them change them. And so it's just like I didn't want to risk, and it was a bummer. You have these people coming around once a week, and you never know when they are. And then so we get our own filters, and we try to get the bottled drinks or take our own drinks on the street. Yes, and Negroes need to expand, help the kids grow taller like Dutch. They can't have dairy. Yeah, I don't know why. Well, you know what? I don't think there's any. They say that milk makes you strong and grow tall, but yeah, it can. Hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on, Laura? Good morning. I guess it's about the same as cow's milk. Yeah, but it's just got a much creamier. Carabao milk is really good. Sarah is saying hi. Why is that doing that? To the rooms. What is going on? Hey, hey, hey. Wow, Heidi approved. Yeah, I love Carabao milk and I like the pastillas. That's one of my favorites is that type of candy. Basically, it's like a caramel, but it's just made with milk. And it's just got a milk flavor and it's soft and it's kind of chewy. I don't like the pulverone, which is dry like chocolate. George loves that stuff. He'll go to town on that. Um, but yeah, it's one of the items. I always order any drinks without ice. Yeah, you have to. You can. I'm sorry, even if they say like George always coming back with shit talking about I go there all the time. It doesn't do it. Well, that's good for you, man. And then he's like sitting on the toilet forever in the morning, or it's crazy. I just watched George and his stomach issues, and I'm like, you can't stop George. If you give George any advice, you're nagging him. If you say, hey, be careful, he does it anyways. George, if you say stop eating all that vending stuff, like he just found he's got some videos coming. He just did a walkabout and he came across a place selling lumpia and he tried to push it on me and I'm like, no. I said, is it cooked? Did they cook it where it's not like if they never get the oil hot enough, so then if it's that way it seeps in and it's holding 3 times the oil it should be. Definitely unhealthy. And he's like, you sure you don't want any? And I'm like, George, I don't need all the grease. I don't like it when it's sopped in grease. It's got to cook in and go back out and tabbed with a paper towel. But he says, no, it's not, it looks greasy. And I said, no, they probably didn't have hot enough oil. But I said, stop stopping at these places. These people are making this in the back of their houses, and some of these places aren't even nowhere near a condition to make food. It's the Philippines. And I'm like, and you just eat at whatever stand, you don't care in a subdivision. I said, stop doing it. And what's the first thing? The first thing he hears is Heidi said, no, get it. And it's like fighting a kid. It's like, George, I could only imagine his mother with him. So I bet when she said, George, don't go picking those bananas and eating them, okay? That's probably the first thing. God damn, I'm going to get those bananas. I'm still dealing with this. And you know what? George specifically married me for that reason. George never would have been the one telling me the opposite or doing the full leading on that. George is a good man to fix things, go out and work and come back. But as far as him telling the kids not to, he'd be the one with his kids doing the bad stuff, out there skateboarding and running into traffic. It's just where it is. What are you doing? Hey, stink, stink. Siamese are playing. Just reading through here. Yeah. Carabao milk. Yeah. And coffee instead of milk. Yeah. Like cream. There are so many goats in the Philippines. Why doesn't anyone sell? Yeah. I'm wondering about that too. Or, more goat meat or something going on. Yeah. I wonder about that. Yeah. It's really good. We had that in Missouri. We had goats. That's how I ended up getting that bad spider bite. Is we had a barn. One of them was being born within. I don't know if it was that night or the next day, but within a 24-hour period after that baby goat was born, that's when that small little bite turned into just opened up within a small period of time. That was horrible. I'll never forget that. How about the ice from BGC area? Are they kosher or they need to avoid it? Well, here's it. Even if it's that, like George said, people have a mistrust that if you're in BGC or certain richer areas, no, only certain areas, even in BGC, There could be the outskirts or one street up in BGC where it leaves a certain center. It doesn't matter if it's a richer area. There are still vendors. Not everybody's rich or does the compliance or buys their water properly. They're just filling these bags and freezing it. And they make businesses like they don't care. They will fill them and sell them to people from their tap directly. They buy an extra refrigerator too, make money, put a nice sign outside, and but for every one of those, there are compliant people. I'm just telling you about the possibilities. And they said most of them were contaminated in Manila. They went through checking all they call it palanque or palangi, whatever they call the ice cold drinks, the magic waters, the all of that was just contaminated. I recently had coronary catheterization angiogram and was charged 3 grand, no stents needed at the time, but the blockage 80 to 70%. Did the doctor test? I can't. LG. I've discussed this before. I can't. And the reason being is that's exactly what the tests will cost. Give or take, it's $2,000 to $3,000. I am not healthy enough to go through that testing. I am leaking fluid out my legs. I am in a fluid overload. My body inflammation is 4 times higher than a normal person. Not fat. I am inflamed. And they can't even begin to put stents or do an angiogram. There's a pre testing they do in lab work. I don't pass any of that right now. And I will be having that put in writing. I have to go in the hospital. Could be anywhere from a week. Some people are in there for a month to take care of breathing issues because of the heart and because the cardiac output is only a 2.5. And so there it's like a go around. And when he said that to me recently, I said, "Well, I can't do that until I get the money and go to the hospital." He says, "You need to go to the hospital." I said, "I don't have the money to go sit in there a period of time." People are like, "Oh, she just won't go." And it's not that. I don't have an extra 4,000, 5,000 US to sit in there and then what? Go home and wait and save more money? There's no reason to bring down the inflammation and sit in a hospital if I can't afford the stents and the testing after that. It's not an excuse, it's the truth. Why would I do that? I can sit here and be uncomfortable. I can take care of myself and take my water pills 3 times a day and get by until I have the money to get it all done. It has to be done all at once. I have to get the inflammation down, and I do not qualify health wise to even do the actual angiogram. I'm already, that's what he wants done. Go to the hospital, get the angiogram, get the stents. But he's always saying, go to the, yeah, I can't. I can't even, start with that. And um, I'm going to have Clark, Medical Center Clark, their doctors, okay, not this clinic I've been going to. Like Mike said, there should have been a second opinion. Now I'm ready for the second opinion. I know it's what it is, but I need to know that, okay, I'm sitting here asking people for the money. We know that it needs to be done, but this guy that's not even a surgeon, doesn't know anything about a cath lab, never been in one, is telling me that sure, you can get stents, not 100%, but it's like, do I even qualify with the lupus, with my lab results? Even if I bring the inflammation, can you still tell me that I can? So I don't know. So it has to go from there. So, yes, we currently probably have enough to do the angiogram. But if I can't go in the hospital before and spend 3, 4, 5,000 US to sit in there and then do the angiogram and that. So yeah, that's what's going on. So, but I appreciate you asking. It's kind of oppositional defiance, right? I think all husbands are at some point, and we have to be mothers to them. They want to be mothered. And then other guys are like, yeah, I ain't taking that shit. She's controlling me. Like George will scream when he gets mad. She's controlling. She's this. Yeah, dude. Then you take charge and I let you do that shit. You can be my daddy then at that point or something, but somebody does. And the truth hurts that somebody has to take responsibility. And George is not and will not. He's a good guy. He's this, but if I had to rely on him, and I will stick to this, if I had to rely on him to put everything together like all things, yeah, I'd be in trouble. I am extremely worried when I pass away. If it wasn't for me knowing he's going to go live with this family that's, paying the bills, and I would worry about him living 100% on his own. So it's not that he's can't, it's just that he's one of those men that just work, work, and work and then don't know where their electric bill is or something. So, and nothing wrong with that either. It's just that's why they have a wife, or we're meant to be married. His wives handled that. I'm not the first one that's acting this way. He chose me based for this reason. He knows that I take control. He knows who I am. He knew who I was from day one, and he knew he was getting some good loving. George said it. If she, did you hear him? Real straightforward. If Heidi couldn't cook, I would not be with her. He's serious. If I didn't do certain things, he flat out told me. George isn't one that's just going after the panani and because she's pretty and because she's nice and better than the last wife shit. No, George is picky. Just because I'm big, I wasn't always this big, people. I've been taller than him. I look like Andre the Giant, but that's not his beef. That's your beef. But no, I'm like, damn. He said, yeah, he's been in a relationship. Nope. She can't cook. She can't organize. She can't. No, George was looking for, hate to say it, part-time mom. And there's nothing wrong with that. So nothing wrong at all. I totally relate to that. The no, this is not safe. And then it translates to do it. Yeah. Yeah. Lack of cool supply chain, right? Venus also doesn't trust the ice from anywhere. Yeah, she always makes it at home. Yeah. No, you can quickly get sick. I've been sick at least twice, seriously. And George was always bringing me stuff home. So when I just, yeah, I can't do it, George. George will eat anywhere, which is unusual because his family does not. His family does not eat that type of street food. He says, I may sound like I'm being posh, but he goes, my family doesn't buy street food. And I said, yeah, probably for reasons, but I get it too. But he does. George will eat just about anything. Good morning. Good morning, Luca. I heard water bottles at the caps. Yes, that does happen too. Does in a lot of countries, but especially that. Yeah, filter before that. Yeah. I feel for you, Heidi. My late wife has the same issues and the legs leaking fluid. Yeah, and everything's stiff. So I try to get everything done in the morning. I try not to rely on George as much as possible. And I want to get it done. That way I'm not asking him. I'm an independent person. But the further I get in the day, my body gets stiff because it gets more full of fluid. Why? Because I'm on a water pill, three of them, 3 times a day. And the fluid starts to back up anyways. No matter how much salt, no matter how much I take care, I can barely move. And it's like being a 9-month pregnant woman and then concrete legs, my lower back. I have to put heating pads. Like my legs get so stiff, and we're not just talking about cramping; it's stiff. Mike is familiar with what I'm probably going through, but those that know, they just know your heart controls everything, and so it's a it's the oxygen I'm wearing is not because I'm not getting enough air per se. The oxygen that I'm wearing is because the oxygen in my blood, the oxygen that supplies everything, is low. Okay. So, me not being able to take a breath or where I have to stop is because there's so much fluid in it's compressing and causing it. But it doesn't mean I'm not. But it's kind of hard to explain. A lot of people are like, oh, that's bullshit. No, actually, it is. You can still be getting breath and feeling fine, and your body not getting the right amount. When I dropped to 70 and 75, when I woke up in the morning the other day, it wasn't all day, but part of it, I was breathing fine. It actually, I just woke up. I was breathing just fine, and even after I sat up, but my body 100% wasn't getting enough oxygen. And it's just the way that the again, without all the terms in front of me, it's the way that the heart pumps the blood and the oxygen goes to all the organs and goes around to the cells, pushes the water to it, just causing a hot mess. So a lot of people like, oh, she can't do a live stream, and why is she doing one if she can't breathe? I can. It gets uncomfortable. I do get winded when it takes a lot of energy and my body's stiff and it's like all puffed up, then I will get short of breath and I have to stop. But mostly I'm stopping because I can't move or my body's hurting. So it's a different level. It's a different level that I never thought. And if there is karma, I brought my own karma. Everything that I've done has been a result of something that I've done, not because you say so, not because you tell people I'm scamming, for those that are still watching that are trolls or whoever's listening. I brought my own karma and I'm aware of it. Why should, biggest thing I've heard lately, why should we support her? Why? She complains about Filipinos getting money. She complains about this and she didn't plan like she talked about other people. Yeah, I've been trying to tell you guys to plan. Don't be like me is what I've been trying to tell you, but you don't have to. It's 100% there. You know what I mean? I have caused my own karma and my own pain. Anything that I've done from a child to now, I'm paying for now. So and your time is coming too. You're no angel. This time will come for you sooner or later. Everybody meets the same demise. Be in denial all you want. Oh, well, I'm not fat like Heidi. Good luck. You did something. You either liked your potato chips too much and they were too salty and it wore down your heart. You either took acetaminophen your whole life. You were on certain medications. Like I was forever on those neurological meds that were causing memory issues and heart issues. I've had COVID twice. There's so many different things. So my point is there are regular smokers that are diabetics here. You can't tell me that you're okay. No, you will come face to face with what I am. I'm just doing it sooner at close to 55. I mean, I think my mother lived to 50. I think my grandmother was 83 or 84. Um, and the other one too. The other ones lived to their 80s. So, maybe I would have had another 25 years, maybe. Now, I guarantee George is going first. That's another thing. I don't want to be here by myself because George's health, believe it or not, he has constant high blood pressure. Constant. He doesn't smoke. He drinks on the occasion. And his blood pressure, I told you guys this before, usually over 200, the top number. Bottom one's ridiculous. Maybe at 100 sometimes, 120. It's off the chain. He's on medicines. But trying to convince him to go get help and everything else, same thing, stubborn like a kid. So I can only leave him alone. It's kind of where it is. I nag him about it to go take care of it, but George will probably have a stroke. So if I get these stents and then I live on, he's liable to have, and I told him that. I said, what? I'm going to get these stents so you cannot take care of yourself and stroke out and leave me here behind? I think not. And we talked about that. Congestive heart failure finally took its toll on her. Yeah, it will. It'll hit you quick. Yes, never ever buy ice water from the local vendors on the street. Yeah. Yeah, buy the sealed. And usually you're pretty safe getting it from like 7-Elevens or the SMs. And that's usually, and then we just take a bottle with us because that way we're not out there and stuck in that position to say that you're going to be with a new girlfriend or something out there. And she's going to say, oh, and you're going to think it's safe because you're out in her province. And that does it. Matter of fact, sometimes that may make it worse that they're taking, they're buying the filters and if you start questioning them, then it'll be back to that thing that I said, oh, why? Because we have standards and we ask, that makes us nasty. So no, you got to check. So I saw and add the petals, water filter straws. It says you can slurp it up right away from the sewer. Yeah, I'll pass. Yeah. Yeah, haha. I'm sure there are girls that can suck the golf balls through the straws, probably. George probably can. I'm very similar to George. If I didn't, yeah, he is. When I pass away, he's going to be a hot mess. I know that we fight. I know we don't get along sometimes. He works my nerves, vice versa. I get mad how he sleeps in or how he'll just wake up and go off and do things for the family. His family does have a level of control over him. And you will find that if you have a Filipina or husband, a Filipino husband, that yeah, they're going to go take care of the family, and it's something I wasn't used to because it wasn't happening in when we left, and they were there. So I mean, I'm happy that he's doing it, and I'm glad he's not on top of me all the time because sometimes I feel like I want to choke the man because some of the stuff he does is very irritating. And so no, if it isn't for a spouse, it's just where it is. You either, you know, when I told George, he got offended a couple months back when I said I can't rely on you, and he really took it offensively. But I'm like, okay, well then you set up paying the bills and arranging when we get the taxes done. Do you even know when the rent is? Do you even pay attention to the animals' feeding schedules? The answer is no, unless George sees it on the occasion. He's not consistent like feeding the animals. I'll say, George, can you feed him? But I don't feel I should have to go through and do that. I wish I had somebody that was more scheduled so I didn't have to worry about it. I'm still probably to the day I die am going to have to be aware. If not, it's he does real good. Like he'll have days where he'll just come in and just do stuff, and I'm like, okay. Like he'll take the trash out and it's just like, oh, he got rest and everything. He's feeling better, and but it's later I'll have to say, hey, can you feed the animals? But I don't think it could be anywhere from 2 in the afternoon till 7, 8 at night, and I'm like, no, you got to get better on that schedule. And so, you know, but I talk about these things. He knows I do. What about weddings and family events and food and drink? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if it's family and you could trust they're doing that, but to be honest, can you trust that too? I don't know. Do you think your family? I don't know that my family's washing their hands and this, and that. I get creeped out at picnics, and so it could be why I stuck to so many freaking packaged foods or cooked for myself. I have 19, man. I have 19, but thank you for asking. We've rehomed a lot of cats over time. So, how many do we currently have? I don't know, six or seven. We used to have recently 11, but they were kittens and stuff. So, we've rehomed some of them. So, we put signs out and we go through like people wanting them and like yeah. So, currently, five or six. I'd have to count. So, but understand we have two bedrooms, two levels, three pet purifiers in the house. Let's see, one, two, three. And the house gets cleaned on a daily basis. So, but they mostly stay upstairs. So we used to have double, but most of them were kittens. So over time, we've always done that. We take in the ones that are sick, and then two out of the six are living outside most of the day. They sit out in the yard and they're not even in the house. So I don't know if that's, yeah. Be careful of the street food, especially now in the heat. Yeah, no, they'll leave that like the market, the meats. Like me and George, first thing we learned, there's a once a week market here, and we know they get their stuff in the morning, and they got a small cooler. Some of them don't even have ice, and it's like it sits out there from 4, and the place doesn't close down till 11. I'm like, and it's not on ice, and that's just scary. But they have the stomach for it, so I do not put those on. My legs are too sore. I do have them. I have not been told to wear them, and I am not in the pain level that I am. That is not going to help. It's that type of circulation is beyond right now. So the answer is no, and I would need to go to therapy to know the bandaging, the whatever per as my illness proceeded. And it's not going to with the cardiac output and all this isn't the beginning. I'm in stage D. I'm in the last I was told maybe 6 months, but the doctor said day to day on life. So I'm not in a stage where the stockings, maybe if I'd have, this would have been a few years ago and there were major signs like high blood pressure all the time and headaches and fluid retention back then yes, before I got this bad, it helps bring the swelling down. But no, my everything's a mess. So no, it's beyond doing the stockings. It doesn't bring it down. I've done them in the past and all it no. So I'm just going to say no. When I say in the past, I've tried since all this has started and it does not. So, and again, people say it's another excuse. You fucking put them on. Okay, you can't do it when your body doubles its size by the afternoon, holds every bit of fluid and everything, and you're wearing those things. It's dangerous. There is a specific way of wearing the right ones. Even when they wrap them, it's a certain pressure. And my cardiac stuff is just too bad to even begin to play with that. And I'm not going to. When I say I'm not going to at this point. So I am at the end stages of doing anything but the stents and everything else. I elevate my legs. I put some cold compress on it. I have to put something with cloths to catch the fluid. It has slowed down this past week. So, but no, I understand. Yeah, definitely not. More harm than help. I totally understand, Heidi. Pamela has dropped 55 to 60 many times. Oh, two. I always had to check on her and see she keep the cannula. I was sleeping. Yeah, I have to now. So, but I also have to keep an eye because I check. I leave it on for a few hours and then I check. And if I take it off and 30, 40 minutes or an hour goes by and I'm still saying at 97, 96, then I leave it off. The doctor told me so. You all talking about, oh, Heidi leaves without her, whatever. And I can do that. But most of the time it's no. So you have to keep an eye on your oxygen. You just don't keep using it when you're at 99. It can cause some damage too. So true. We all accumulation of all previous decision action. Yeah, we're all going to, yeah. You come into the light and you go into the light, right? How are your siblings? I don't know. I talked to some of my siblings. I have one, two. I have to calculate because I have half ones. My dad was married before my mom, and there's two of them. There was one after my mom, which makes three. And so, give or take, I've got eight brothers and sisters. So, never really was close to any of them. None of the family was really close. We are not the Brady Bunch. We're not the typical Filipino family. We would do the parties here and there and picnics and stuff, and we keep in touch. Usually siblings. Sometimes it's like me. I keep in contact with some of them. So, and most of them don't even know what's going on. So they do, but what I'm saying is on a daily basis, I don't. I have two children that are my blood, and George has three, and one of them live here. So lack of horizontal exercise gym during marriage and then after that. Wow, that's some elevated blood. No, George's is off the chain. Always has been. Ask him. And he was the one that was the one sick in the beginning. Short of me finding out about the lupus and the neurological issues, um, there just wasn't. People are like, oh, well, you're on Social Security. Yeah, them are some of the reasons. Is the neurological issues, the lupus, all these other things. And I haven't even given him all this stuff on my heart. It would just qualify me that much more. It doesn't get you paid that much more. But the George has always had it. And then he was drinking the energy drinks and all that. He also has he has some issues going on. So my concern has always been George over me, even as big as I am. Same with the African husband's family. Yeah. George needs an AI agent to analyze your channel and schedule all this stuff. Yeah, no, I don't think we need that. Channel's not making that kind of money, nor does people claim that that stuff really is working, and really they're just selling software. Uh, we do our own stuff. I think with George, you need to write it down and say, no, I do, because he is one. If I tell him to pick up this and that, he does definitely not pick up the right things. So he is. I wish he was more like me, organized. And we had a lot of fights about that. I really got upset with him once we got to the Philippines because I thought when he was no longer working all the time and he was there, then he got blamed for not helping with things like that. And it was just it became a, oh, you slept in till noon and half the stuff's done and how come you're not doing anything. So it really got weird. And so yeah, it's a lot of the tensions we were going through. Honestly, I think it's a combination of OCD and high intelligence with George. A large smart mind. No, I think it's not OCD. He's not that way. He is obsessed in a sense. He is possibly, and you guys be like, oh, here we are, a self-diagnosis. I believe he's also ADHD like me. I think he has a certain focus for so long but doesn't. And I think he's hyper intelligent. Like he doesn't have to Google stuff. He doesn't. Now, is he off and am I off on things where we don't remember anything? Sure, yeah, it's like that. But he likes to get into so many facts, he just loses me sometimes. But he is highly intelligent is the issue, and I think he gets bored quick. And on the other hand, he can entertain himself with a video game all day, and I don't know how he can sit there and do the same thing all day. I can't. So that kind of takes me away from that ADHD thing because I couldn't stay on a game more than 20, 30 minutes. The focus for me, because your kidneys, no, right now they're not. With the fluid retention and the pills, it could be a long term effect. I'm hoping not. So, yeah, you're right. I'm lucky there aren't other organs because the lupus is a very possibility that it can't. Okay. So, all right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm hurting. I'm going to lay down for a little bit. That's what I was saying to George the other day. I thought I was waiting for him to come in. I'm like, dude, I'd have left an hour ago. But yeah, so I'm starting to hurt. So I'm going to wrap this up, guys. I appreciate you guys dropping in and everybody saying hi. Hi, Roger. He might be, Laura, he might be on the spectrum. We both discussed that. And he said, my mom, his exact words is my mom and my sister. He said somebody the other day said the same thing. And I'm like, yeah, it's a possibility. There's something, it could be the spectrum, but he's, there's a lot going on. So who's normal these days? But all right, guys, I will talk to you later and see you in a few days and love you guys. And I appreciate everybody dropping in. Bye, Laura. Bye, Sarah. Bye. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everybody.